This is the Sarasota Technology Users Group, and we're having our regular monthly meeting. It's 7 o'clock on a little bit after 7 on the 4th of February. Welcome, everybody, and I'm introducing our speaker for the evening, which is Judy Taylour, and she has a long resume, and it would take me a half hour to go through everything that she has done, all her participations, and all her organizations that she works with. But to sum it up, she has been involved in technology for many years. She's a member of the APCUJ group, which is the upper level organization of organizations. And she's a member of the Santa Clarita Valley Computer Club for 36 years. So she's bringing a lot of knowledge and experience to her presentation today. And welcome, Judy. Take it away.
This presentation today is kind of a reminder. We've all been using email forever and a day, and this is a reminder. So here we go. Etiquette, that really is a word. Email tips and tricks for you guys. When did it begin? I want you to put your back in the day hats on and figure out when you came across email and started using it. It started in 1971. My youngest child was 1 year old, which is one way for me to remember it. And the guy's name was Ray Tomlinson, who must have just thought this was the slickest thing that he ever did. And lo and behold, the @ symbol came up to separate usernames from the host machines. 75, we got the to, the from, and the CCs. And wouldn't you know, 3 years later, the first spam message, Happy Joy, was sent. 82, SMTP came about. And the 80s and 90s, it was common in business and government universities. I figure the kids were going to school, people were working, and they're saying, why in the world can't I have this at home? So by 1985, commercial ISPs came about, and 96, 97, we got our webmail services, and Microsoft's Hotmail was one of the first ones. So figure out where you were on the journey and you hopped in, and we've been using it ever since. And there you go. Limited in the 60s, 70s, and 90s. And this shows you from 2000 up to 2025 how the usage has grown. So 99% of us check our inboxes every single day, and a little over half of us do that in the morning. First thing they do when they get up is, oh my gosh, I have to check my email. Some people check it up to 20 times a day. I imagine there's people who check it up. I check it out many more than 20 times a day. And some of us, like me, have several email addresses that we need to check. APCUG, my personal, my groups, etc. So number of sent and received emails increased to 376 billion every single day this year. 81% of us access it on our smartphones now that's the device that is being used, honestly, often more times than computers. And 3.5 million emails are sent every single second. And oh, happy joy, over half of them are our friends, the spam people. So Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, Apple Mail are the most used webmail. Desktop, Thunderbird, Outlook, MailSpring. I'd never heard of MailSpring, and I thought, yeah, sure. This was not on my presentation when I updated it for 2024. I found that interesting. And then many people involved with APCUG and its groups, and you guys are one of our groups, are turning to Proton Mail because it's secure. So why is it still popular when there's tons of things out there? Well, it works. We know it's going to get from here to there. It's easy to use, and it's extremely effective when we have to send it to a gazillion people at the same time. But we need to remember it's not private. All addresses and to in CC, as they are bulked and spinning around the world, they can be captured by the bad guys. That's how people's email addresses get on the bad actors list. So we need to remember to always use BCC, just like when we were working. And it was back in the, oh Lord, the carbon copy days, so to speak. You would do BCC and you'd send CC to, and everybody could see who got a carbon copy of the memo, the letter, and then the BCC was private. And remember, anything you send can be forwarded. If somebody prints it and it's laying around, it can be captured just from, a paper copy. So don't say anything in your email that you wouldn't want to see hung on your front door. That's from Abby Stokes. And a lot of you remember when Abby Stokes was out and about, and I couldn't believe it today when oh my gosh, checked my email. I had something in it from Abby Stokes, and you could have almost knocked me out of my chair. I was so surprised. So these are the oops. These date back to California 1,000 years ago. But one of the officers convicted of beating Rodney King sent an email and says, oops, haven't beaten anyone so bad in a long time. The transcript of the message was used at his trial. Another from back in the day, Pillsbury said, not to worry, employees, all your emails are private. Nope, they really weren't. They were open to any, management, IT department, whatever. And he said, I got fired. It was wrong. Court said you really had no expectation of privacy. So think about that. Email is not the most private thing in the world. So please, whatever you do, keep it short. This is not an essay you're sending. And make sure your subject line describes what it is you're talking about. You want to know the information you are giving the group. They want to look at it and say, "Oh, okay, yeah, I know that. I'll take care of that, whatever." And still, from the beginning of time, all caps is considered shouting and extremely rude. Now, you might, want all cap a word to make it emphasized, but still, don't be rude. At the nuclear pharmaceutical company that I worked at last, we had a temp. She sent an email out to all the people in all caps. And I looked at that and I went, whoa. No, it was perfect. She had been after people for parking in the executives' parking places in front of the building. They were angry, and she would get in touch with the employees and was nice about it. So she sent this all caps shouting message out and says, don't do it again. And I thought, oh, gee, that was really appropriate. All lowercase, difficult to read. Don't, for heaven's sakes, use 16,000 exclamation points and question marks. One will do just fine. No punctuation. It just all runs on. I was the chair or co-chair of the Southwest Tech Conference in San Diego for 23 years. Every year I got an email from the Santa Barbara group's wife. She never punctuated anything. Loved to hear from her. Looked forward to seeing her in San Diego. But by golly, it took me so long to figure out what she was actually saying in her email because it was like it was one long run-on sentence. So if you've got a really long email, think about just an elevator summary. If nothing else, you could put it into your favorite AI program and say, please summarize this for me. You can have headings in bold for major points. You can have sections bulleted or numbers. With this, you kind of have to put your work hat back on and say, okay, I want to make this short and sweet and to the point, but I've got a heck of a lot to say. So I need to make it totally clear for my audience. And please leave the emoticons somewhere else. Don't use a ton and a half of them. And when it comes to acronyms, you might know what it means, but your audience might not, or some of your audience won't have a clue. So if you're going to have an acronym, parentheses, type out what it stands for, parentheses. Next time, you've got more people that know your acronyms. And keep your slang at a minimum. Not everybody appreciates that. And your humor and sarcasm. I'm a very sarcastic person, and you have to watch it. It doesn't always fly in an email. So if you are being humorous, you might want to put bracket grin or just a happy face or semicolon dash and the parentheses for a happy face. So think about, you know what it means, but does the person or people on the other end know what you are trying to say? So we all have our favorite email program, but your username. How do you want to identify yourself? It's still not too late to change it if you want to. I suggest women don't use their first and last name. Back in the day when we were setting up email accounts, we would, put in what we wanted and they'd say, I'm sorry, that's taken. Here, you should use this. And it would be your first and last name. Too much identification out there for the bad guys. So I'm SCV Judy all over town. That stands for Santa Clarita Valley Judy, where I've lived for 49 years. But that's me, not Judy Taylour. So please don't use the different color text. It's cute or cutesy, or if you are sending an email to your grandkids or something like that, they might think that's way cool. But again, don't use it for regular people. Remember the bullet points? All the email programs have bullet points or numbers that you can put in. And please double check before sending. I use Grammarly. It checks my word, everything, and it also checks all my email accounts. It also makes suggestions to make the email more understandable or whatever. Gmail, Outlook, your browser will have a checker program. Make sure you have it checked and it's working. And especially if you're sending something out for the particular group that you belong to, because if I send something out for APCUG, whatever I send out reflects on APCUG, just like it reflected on the nuclear pharmaceutical company. So, think about that when you're doing something for your group. Any group that you belong to, it's got to be the best that you can possibly make it. And please be courteous. Don't wait 2 weeks to answer the email. Reply in the same time frame as a phone call. If you do not have the answer, let them know. Thank you. I haven't got an answer for you, but I will get back to you. Let them know that you actually received the email. Every single person gets a thank you from me one way or the other. And I'll get up to 50 emails every day in my APCUG account because I deal with all of the groups in the US, Canada, and Australia. But just to let them know, hey, Judy has received it, and there'll either be an answer there again, or I let them know the answer will be coming. And please, we kind of think of high priority, important, urgent as a scam. So you might want to think about not using those or make sure they are in a context that they know it's actually from you and not a spammer. The biggie, who in the world do you reply to? Well, if they're in BCC, you can only reply to the sender. If they're in CC, carbon copy from back in the day, when you click on reply all, it goes to every single person that received that email. And if 200 people were on the email list, you've just sent your reply that might not be of anybody's business except the sender. So be careful about that. I always say, stop and smell the roses. And please include some of the previous message when you reply. I will get an email reply from somebody that maybe, oh, it's over a week since I sent the email, and they'll just have a short little answer, and I'll look at that. And, my life has been going on for a week or more, and I'm thinking, what in the world did I ask that person? It's just not at the top of my memory at that particular point in time. So please be courteous and remind the person that sent it, hi, this is what you wanted from me. And when you are forwarding something, why are you doing it? Thought you would like this joke. FYI, we have a new meeting room, whatever. And if you are someone who sends jokes out, and you have a list of 200 people and you think, oh, I wonder if Judy would like to receive this, please don't automatically put someone on your list without asking. They might be somebody who is no more interested in getting a joke list than they can fly to the moon. So be courteous. Ask first. Don't forward anything before you verified that it's true. Somebody sends you an email and the world is coming to an end with Edge or Chrome. Oh my gosh, you've got to know about this. This is the worst thing that's happened. Look at all these scams that are going on, blah, 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 blah. Please don't forward that. Check it out whether it's true scoop or not. We got an email, people who were on the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, Sherman Oaks office one time, and they sent this, oh my gosh, email out, and you read it and you went, whoa. I read it and thought, my brother was a lifelong homicide detective, and so I'm skeptic. And I thought, really? I checked it out. It was bogus. I picked up the phone. I called the LAPD office down there and said, that email you just sent out to probably a cast of thousands, it is not true. They had to send an email out and apologize, which was really weird. You would think, why wouldn't the cops check it out first before sending it? Well, after that, they did. So, check it out before you forward it, because you forward it to your 20 people forward it, and all of a sudden it's gone all the way around the world with information that may or may not be bogus. And if you are having an attachment, mention it, please. And if you mention it and you don't attach anything, with Gmail, it'll say, I'm sorry, where's the attachment? It reminds you. And I gave this presentation years ago to the group in the valley south of me. And this gal says, I always attach what I'm going to first, because I found I would be in a hurry at the end and I would send it and forget to attach it. Well, I don't know what email program she was using, but now, like I said, Gmail will say, yo, hey, where's the attachment? So I thought that was a good idea. Don't wait until you've composed this thing and worked with it and then forget to attach something. You can attach up to that megabyte and stuff. And if you have a larger attachment than 25 megabytes with Gmail, they'll send a link to your addressee that they can pick it up here. Okay. So that's what she said. Add the attachments first, please. Check your spelling and grammar. Some of us are not the best spellers and our grammar really sucks big time. So, use the one that works with Gmail. I say I have Grammarly. I happen to pay for it, but you can use it free and etc. And so check your spelling and your grammar. Again, especially if you are representing STUG. You don't want somebody that you're recruiting to be a member to think, oh my gosh, look at that. They don't even know how to spell. Or, oh, that's the wrong word. Oh, there should have been a comma here. Or no, blah, blah, blah. And once you send it, it's gone. Well, if it's a zippy email that you are, your hair is on fire, and you type like crazy and you think, oh, wait a minute. Again, stop and smell the roses. Sleep on it overnight. Don't send it. It'll be a draft. Take the addressee out of the two. You can always put it in the next day when you sleep on it and say, I really don't think I'm going to send that. And so, or you can schedule it. Lower left-hand corner to the right of send, this nice little calendar pops up and you can schedule when you want to send it. I use this because with Gmail, you can send up to 300 copies, BCCs. And if I have to send out more than 300 emails with something for APC, I split the list and I'll send the first 300 out, and then I'll schedule the next email to go out in a couple of hours or the next day. So this is a handy dandy little thing that you can use. But again, sleep on something that you might really feel bad that you send it and you've lost a friend or whatever. So you need a greeting and you need a signature and closing. And people say, what in the world am I supposed to use? Well, mimic whatever the greeting that was sent to you. They say, dear, I have somebody from one of the local groups here. She is a retired attorney, and her emails always begin with dear. Fine, works for me. I can dear her back with no problem, or hi, or hello, whatever comes through. And if they don't do anything, you don't have to have a greeting either. But if it is someone that you have absolutely no clue who it is, and we need to remember our business etiquette, and it would be dear blah, whatever. And then you wait to see what they come back to you with. But if it's a business, again, about STUG or any other organization you belong to, and you have to put your business hat on when you're sending it, it's just not a little cutesy email from you personally to somebody personally, then you need to up your game a little bit and remember how you did it when you worked. And please have a signature. I'm Judy. I'm mom, I'm Grammy, depending upon who. And I have my signature line set up in Gmail. I've customized it. And so, but I'm my kid's mom, so I put mom down there. I mean, they might get a bazillion emails and, well, who's this from? Well, it's from your mother. Let's do something about it or whatever. But whoever you are to the person you're sending, give them a signature. And if again, you're sending something out for STUG or you are any other organization you belong to, do you have a title there? I would say maybe Huey's a vice president, so it would be Huey Poplock, VP, STUG, blah, blah, blah. And your contact info, your phone number, your website, whatever you want the person on the other end to know how you work within the organization that you are representing. Again, you are a 501c3, you are running a business. APCUG is a business. We're also a 501c3. And since we're 501c3, our business is education. And my thing is, if I listen to a presentation and I learn one new thing, I'm a happy camper. So if you learn one thing, if that's your thing, then this is worth your time, however long it takes me to get through this. But again, you have different hats that you wear even now. And some of us have been retired forever and a day. But we need to put our little business hats on when we're representing our groups, just to make it professional. Here are some signature lines. Terry from WAC, Wisconsin All Users Computer Club. She has her first name, and below it, she has who she is. And her little butterfly is animated. And I just love that because, I love butterflies, and it just flaps its wings whenever I get an email from her. Do you have a tagline? Blessings from Pat. That just makes me feel so good when I get that. She's the president of the Cajun Clickers. And then we have our friend Bob G, who puts, if you want to get in touch with him, there are all the ways you can get in touch with Bob G. And that is his signature line, and it comes up automatically. He is not typing that in, nor is Pat, nor is Terry. It just comes up. And if you are representing STUG again, or any other organization that you belong to, you should have unsubscribe information at the bottom of your email. Give them an opportunity to, we don't subscribe to anything. We're not sponsored by anything, blah, 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 blah. Please reply if you don't want to receive these anymore. And then it says, thank you for being a member of APCUG, because that's who I send to most of all with my APCUG email. And that is put together by an attorney and massaged from when I worked in the legal department at the nuclear pharmaceutical company. So, why unsubscribe info? It's called canned spam. So, if you have a form that guests fill out at a meeting, I know you meet online, but you have a guest that comes to one of your lunches and they say, gee, this is really interesting. I think I'd like to, more information, etc. And if you happen to have a form, say, here, could you fill this out? And, we'll get back to you. And it's got their email address and interests and all that on it. Or send them a thank you. Thank you for attending. We really appreciated you being there, blah, 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 blah. Would you like to receive further information? When the minute they get back to you, you can use their email address in your mailings. Otherwise, they can say, like I got something today. It's the emails of the political world now that you get so many of. And I went to myself, who in the world is that? And it said, and I recommend you spam and unsubscribe and all that good kind of stuff. And and one of the bullet points was, I didn't request this. And I thought, now I appreciated that because I'm on umpteen gazillion email lists, and this person bought a list and sent it out. And I no more was interested than you could fly me to the moon. But I appreciated me being able to say, instead of just unsubscribe, I don't know about you guys, so to speak. Okay. So there's your CC and BCC. And BCC, general announcement. You're sending your newsletter out. Well, you have your email that you send out all the time. Several groups have that. But if you sent your newsletter out to everybody, it would be with BCC. And you would say, hi, members, here's the December newsletter. And that way, everybody that belongs to your group knows everybody got a newsletter. So you don't have to think, oh, should I forward mine to Alice? Or maybe I should forward mine to Brian. Maybe they didn't get it. No, be clear about who you are sending it to. Many people say, I don't, BCC, what in the world are you talking about? I do not see that in my email program. Only, to and from might be there and CC. So sometimes you have to look to BCC. With me, it's to all of my members. I am on the advisory council for our local senior center. They have absolutely probably not very much tech information or knowledge. So I always let them know to the advisory council members so they know that every single person has gotten a copy of the agenda, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll say, hi, kids. And if I'm only sending it to one daughter, it's going to be with her name or the other name or the grandkids or whatever. So everybody's on the same page, so to speak, and know who mom is letting know this information, and the grandkids the same way. So if you put, again, I said CC, all the addresses can be harvested. People say, oh, Lord, how in the world did my email address, I'm getting all these spam messages. Well, somebody sent your email out in CC. I can't stress enough. Don't do that. People who have those 200-person joke lists will oftentimes put everybody in CC. And you get a copy of it, and there's this great big long field with everybody's first name, possibly the first and last name, and their email address. Oh my gosh, that is so many steps towards ID theft. It is incredible. So I can't stress this enough. This is probably the 13th time I've said this. BCC, everything. But in the body, if you're sending jokes out or something like that, come up with something cute. To all my jokester friends or whatever, so they know that everybody received it. And again, reply. Does everybody really need to know your answer? Oftentimes, you're sending a private answer. If you reply all, again, everybody finds out what it is. And please, don't send a gazillion attachments. You can always zip them up. And do the people on the other end, do they have the program that can open a PowerPoint presentation? If you don't know, save it as everything as a PDF. You do not have to use Adobe Acrobat. I get the biggest kick out of the fact when I go to APCUG member groups and they say Adobe Acrobat. No, there's umpteen gazillion PDF programs out there, and Edge has the same thing, and on and on. And so they don't have to have Adobe. If you send that out to somebody who's a beginner, they think, oh my gosh, I guess I can't open that unless I have Adobe. Where do I find that? And they have to look for it. And not necessary. A PDF is a PDF is a PDF. So if you're not sure, if you send something, you have a Mac and you send something out in Pages, is somebody who is strictly Windows going to be able to open that? LibreOffice, we can open all of that. But if you send me a Quicken file, I'm not going to be able to open it. But if you send me a PDF, I can. So be courteous. Think about your audience on the other end. Browsers, everything. If you are sending graphics, please save them as a JPEG or JPEG. It will end up being the smallest size because remember, you can only send so much in your attachment, but you have to think about the people on the other end. How many megabytes of information and attachments can they receive? If you get in touch with them, they'll probably go, huh? What do you mean? I have no clue. So make them JPEGs and they're not going to hurt anything. All the digital photo contests we did at Southwest and the ones at APCUG that I was involved with, I saved everybody's photo as a JPEG when I put it up on the websites. And not one person complained and said, hey, Judy, what in the world did you do to my picture? It really looks crummy. And they had set me up to a whatever the megabyte was. And I just, changed them all at the same time to a lower level. And nobody complained. So I said, pat myself on the back and said, well, I'm glad nobody complained. Whoa. But again, if you're sending out photos, make them the smallest you possibly can. And also remember, if you have Gmail, you have X amount of space that you can use, and that includes your photos, your emails, whatever. So if you get something in an email that has a gazillion megabytes, you might go over your limit. And then most people are not going to know what to do about that. So be security conscious. If you get jokes or whatever, or, and there's 200 addresses in there, please send the author who sent it to you and let them know you might want to think about using BCC because blah, 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 blah. And if you are going to forward it to anybody, be courteous and delete all the email addresses that are either in to or CC. But remember, our goal is we're educating people about technology. And maybe the person that sent you that joke list with all those email addresses in CC or to doesn't know any better. Nobody has taken the time to let them know that hackers can steal those addresses. And your folders. At one of the APCUG conferences 1,000 years ago at CES in Las Vegas, Bill Gates used to drop in every once in a while. And he and his, cohort in crime would, be scheduled for a presentation. But oftentimes he would just drop in when we were having a meeting or whatever. And one time he said, you need to think of your hard drive as your file cabinet. And I was in the legal department. We had lots of files. And I have kept that close to me ever since. I taught tech classes to adults for 22 years through the high school adult ed. And when we talked about this, I had a 4-door file cabinet right next to my desk. And I would say this and I would fling my right arm out and hit the side of the file cabinet, thinking these people are never going to forget what I just said. So my entire life on my hard drive, any hard drive I have had low these many years, is like a file cabinet. And I've got my major folders and my subfolders, etc. And when we were being acquired by Cardinal Health in Ohio, they sued us because they wanted us to have our stock prices go down. And so they didn't have to pay so much money for us. And the Department of Justice, and this was back in the day when you actually had a Department of Justice and you never really wanted to deal with them, but they would send me a request for something and they would have it in their inbox the next day. And their comment was to the people that would go back there and testify, how in the world does she do that? She sends it to us and we get it the next day. They had everything in folders. They wanted to know something about the Taiwan or the Beijing pharmacy. They had their folders. I zipped them up and sent them to Washington. Easier for me. I didn't have to look through everything. So that's just me. Well, that's the way my email is set up. Exactly. And it was difficult using Gmail because I think folders, Gmail thinks labels because of course they can't use the word folders. And I think hard drive and inbox. So here's my inbox and there's 26. Whenever a group renewed, I said thank you and I moved the email over to Dues Renewal. The same thing with the Speakers Bureau. You guys send in a Speakers Bureau request. I email back and say thank you so you know I received it. I forward it to the speaker. I move the initial request to the Speakers Bureau for 2026. And also when the speaker gets back and says I can do it or I can't, that email goes over there. So if I get a frantic email from a group saying, I haven't heard from fill in the blank, they never got back to me, blah, 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 I know exactly where to find it. I don't need to search through all of my emails for it. So that's just my brain, and I'm an alphabet person. And I use numbers, zeros and ones and twos and threes and fours. And the ones and twos and threes and fours are the other ones that in my file folders on my hard drive, so to speak, that I open more than any others. And so if you have everything in your inbox and you are continually having to search and oh my gosh, it's all of a sudden, Huey sent an email in and he sent 50 emails and there's all his emails. Well, if Huey sent me something and it was something I was working with, I would put his email in a folder. So I would just go over there and immediately click on it. So you might want to organize and think about organizing your inboxes. And in your delete, empty it every once in a while. It's not really where you need to keep everything. And you got your contacts. That certainly saves a lot of time. They automatically, when you start typing, they appear in 2CC or BC, whichever one you're doing. I have 2 JKs. And when I want to send an email to John Kennedy, it's JKE. And John Kennedy's email comes up. If it's John Kraut, it's JKR. And John Kraut's email comes up. I don't just do JK and have them both and then have to choose. That's how my brain goes. And you sending an email to a new address, it's automatically added to your contact list. I will get people who are attending Wednesday workshops for the first time, and they sent their email address as their group's name, and they don't pay attention to watch out for autofill. And I get back to them, Gmail pops up and says, wait a minute, You don't know who this person is. Are you sure you want to send your email to them? And I say yes. And here's my JK and my JKR. And here's where you search. And it's up at the top. It says, oh, search mail. And you can do it by the froms or the tos, the subject. I'm big on has words in the middle because I will remember what the content was. And I want content. John Kennedy and I correspond all the time. John Kraut and I do. But I'm interested in the content, and that way with either one of those, the particular email I'm interested in will more than likely pop up. Instead, a ton of emails. But down here you can see megabytes, date within. You can put a date range in there. I sent something out to somebody, not quite sure if I sent it on this date, but I can put a date range before and after, and it will pop up there. So learn how to use this. It makes your life so much easier. Are you tired of being snuggle kitten at? You got married, you got divorced, you're getting too much spam. Believe me, you can create a new address where you can forward it to a new inbox. I was Judy Taylour at the southwestcomputerconference.org, and it came to swcc@gmail.com. I was not going to have another email account to look at. So all of those emails were sent to one I had set up in Gmail. And when I sent a reply, it came from jtaylour at swcc.org. So it worked out really well. But what you do is you send an email to all your contacts and you say, I'm closing this address in. You choose how long, 1 month, 2 months, whatever. This is my new email address. Please start using it now. And then from that date, you are only sending from your new address. It can be done. And over time, you have to leave it active for a while, couple of months, because there's going to be people that can't read, don't understand, or don't pay attention, and they will still be sending to your original address. So reply to them and say, hey there, guy, gal, remember, this account is closing and you really need to use my new one. Okay? So find your spam button. Again, I have had people say to me, I don't have a spam button with my email. Oh, yes, you do. You just have to use it. It might not be up close and personal, and you need to find it. And when you receive an email from something that you did not subscribe to, feel free to mark it as spam. It says to your email provider, whoever, Outlook, Proton Mail, whatever, I don't want to receive this anymore. So these are all, and Gmail is great. I don't get spam in my inbox because they send everything over to my spam folder. And every couple of days, I look at it and say, okay. And during dues renewal, group information would be in here because I'd never received an email from them. And so Gmail was saying, we'll just mark this as spam. So you do have to check this to make sure that there's not something in your spam folder automatically put in there by your ISP and that you need to mark as it's not spam and it goes back to your inbox. And set your email program so you at least see the subject line. Read carefully before opening. I met you earlier this year. I'm reaching out to my folks whom I have no clue who this person is. Would I open that email? Absolutely not. There's enough information there to let me know that, sorry, Charlie, you're going to be spam. And do not reply via the unsubscribe option, because if you do, if you've got a link in your message and you unsubscribe, then the spammer goes, aha, this is someone who will answer an email, and they sell your email address for more money. And they're out there in their pajamas. They don't have to get dressed, absconding with the CC and the two email addresses. And all of a sudden, you're one of those people. And you can block the senders. You can mark it as spam with the stop sign up there. But if you don't know where your spam button is, Google or DuckDuckGo or Brave the question. Emails without a subject. There's no way you are ever going to open anything like that. Only a link in the body of the message that says, call me. Oh, really? Incorrect grammar. With AI, that bullet point doesn't show up that much anymore. But the biggie is your account is being canceled, and that happens to be your bank account. Or we need to verify your account. Bogus. No, you're not going to react with those in any way, shape, or form. So you want to know the sender's email address, just not their display name. Enable reading or preview panel. I almost fell for this one. This is the president of the Glendora group in SoCal, and he would email me and say, please call me. Instead of calling me, what he was asking me is, on my time, call him, because he, is not going out any place. And he had an AOL account and a Gmail account. Those are not really his addresses, but pretty close to it. And their personal was 1001. And when I clicked on that to let him know I'll be calling you about 3 this afternoon, I stopped and I smelled the roses, and I realized the email was going to same name at 101 at gmail.com. And he has both those accounts, but I stopped before I clicked on send. So be careful. And here you are. Our summer sale is sizzling. Do you use Family Tree DNA? You might. Do you use fragrancenet.com? I do. That's where I buy my perfume and etc. online. So be aware. Consumer alerts from the FTC, everybody should subscribe to those. They have a ton and a half good information. And this is contribute via check. Please address to Rob Bonta for Attorney General. I have moved this on. Here's a phishing email from PayPal. If you use PayPal, we get these. And it says, oh, thanks for your submission, blah, blah, blah. Get in touch with them. Go to their website. Look for the fraud or the scam email. They are happy to hear from you when you get something like that. You know the drill about security. Don't use the same password. Don't use personal information, words backwards, misspellings, abbreviations. For heaven's sakes, don't use anything in sequence. And we always have every year the top 100. I hope none of these are yours, but people still have things like this. So use your whole keyboard. We had an FTC presentation last year about this time, and one of the presenters said, yeah, you should have 14 to 16 characters in your passwords now. And I thought, good Lord, we started out with 8 back in the day. Longer, more secure. Every one of those letters, numbers, etc. means something to me. Not going to mean anything to anybody else, but easy to remember. Long passphrases are great. I love to read good books. That could be Steve Costello's email password. Spaces between words, okay. You can use the underscore. I have a friend who the titles are all from nursery rhymes. She has them flowing from her mind. Absolutely amazes me. Password manager, 2FA. the latest thing, passkeys. I imagine you've had a presentation on passkeys. If you haven't, you need one. Here are some of the password programs that APCUG people use. And you have a closing. Does a closing matter? Yeah, it does. Here are the things that people appreciate. I always say thank you at the end automatically because I'm always asking somebody for something. And I get return email. And I think it's because I'm polite and I always say thank you. But you need to think about, you know, what you're going to use for your tech club and so on. And here's email closing 65.7 thanks in advance. Most popular closing samples. They absolutely exist out there where you search for them. And again, have a disclaimer and let them know that, by the way, if you don't want to hear from us again, we'll do that. And the Can Spam Act, if you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, check it out. It's been around from 2003 and it's iffy about nonprofits. So we recommend that you do have a disclaimer just in case you get a snippy person who you don't know is snippy and wants to sue you. Proton mail, again, 1.5 tons of people are going for that. And here's a slide on how to search. Oh, I just love search. Undo. Oh my gosh, you sent the email and you forgot to add the attachment. Ugh. You've got 30 seconds to say, don't go any further. So set it up. And so you automatically, when you select undone, you go, whew, and you have 30 seconds in order to hit what's next to send. And here's scheduling. And we create labels instead of folders. You can turn on the confidential mode also. And this is like people who get Windows. And I say you need to go through your Windows operating system when you get a new computer and customize everything to beat the band like you want it to be, not how Microsoft wants it to be. You need to do the same thing with your email programs. This is what you can do under settings, under general. You need to go through the whole thing. How many emails do you want to see on a page? You might just want to have 25. You might want to have 10. Undo send. Here's where you set up 30 seconds. Do you want to have a default reply? I don't. I like to do it myself. And it goes on and on and on. And you really need to go through here if you haven't and make it yours. This is where you put your closing together on what you want to say. Do you want it smaller font? Whatever. And you can set on autocorrect. There's Smart Compose. I recommend you do that, especially if you're not the best writer in the world. And I don't like conversation view. I like to get my emails via date. But you might like conversation view where you send me an email, I reply to you. The reply is right under the one you sent to me, so to speak. And I prefer the emails in date order. And again, that's my file folder head, my business head working here. But you might like the other way. Again, you need to go through each one of these things up at the top of your settings. And when you click on settings in the upper right-hand corner, you need to say all settings. They only have a few, but you want to see all settings. And here's the ones that you can think. And the forwarding and pop/IMAP is where I set up. It came in as the Southwest Conference email address to the one I had set up for, Southwest through Gmail. And that's where I said, and when I click on, reply, it went back out to the person from Southwest Conference, blah, blah, blah. And on your inbox, You can choose what you want to see or not. Show or hide. Scheduled, show if unread. Drafts, you want your drafts to show. Oh, heaven's sakes. I want, you decide how you want to set this whole thing up. And this is just a partial list of all the things you can go through. And when you have time, get your favorite beverage, sit down in your comfy work chair, and customize whatever email program you use to make it yours. Absolutely. Every piece of technology that you download, as far as I'm concerned, you need to do that with. And here's the labels. And you can say what labels. I don't want to hear about forums, updates, or social stuff. I just am using this account for email. Do you want to email, select the reading pane? You decide. You can check that box, go in and check your email and go, yuck, I don't like that. Or not. But again, make it your own. And I like that question mark. I think that's way cool. I am finished. And are there any questions? And I hope you at least learned one thing.
Any questions for Judy? Anybody?
Jolene?
Yes, thank you so much. That was terrific.
Thank you.
And I am pleased to find that great minds think alike. So much of what you said tonight are the same things I've come to learn and also share with our members. So it's nice to kind of be backed up by you. Thank you.
From coast to coast. What can I tell
Exactly.
you?
Thank
Good
you.
job. And Mr. Poplock.
Hello there. A couple of things. Got your pen handy. You can
Oh,
add them to
okay.
your.
Hold on. Got it.
Okay, you mentioned make sure you put a subject. Well, to go along with that is don't bunch up your topics in one email. Make them separate. If you got one about a program and one about something private, have them in two different emails. So when I go back and search for them, I can find the right one. I think that's very important. Yep.
Absolutely. I thought about that today. I got an email from John, and it was an answer to my email to him, and he answered it. And I thought, well, I have this new question. I thought, stop that, Judy. You need to send him a different email. And the one thing about when you answer, I answer at the top and the email goes down. John answers each paragraph.
Oh, God.
In red. That's his preferred way. I prefer it up the top so I can read everything in one fell swoop and not have to scroll through the entire email to make sure that I get everything that he is getting to me about. Diane Binder.
Hi, yes, very good presentation. And I just 2 points. One thing I wanted to agree with you. I cannot tolerate reply all.
Yeah.
It just absolutely drives me nuts. Especially when people are doing cook-ins and they want to send back everything they're bringing. Yeah, that's what happened in my community. And the other thing is, why is it that Gmail uses, they can't use the word folder? I've always wondered that.
I figured because that's Microsoft. In Microsoft, you make folders.
Oh, so it's a copyright thing.
I
Okay.
have no clue if that's true or not, but that makes sense to me right from the get-go. And it was difficult to say, you want to make a label, Judy, click on that right up there.
I
And
know that's one reason I don't really like Gmail, but I'm probably one of only being a person in the world. But yeah, labels, I just don't get that.
I know.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
Welcome, kiddo. Jolene, you're back again.
You're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, a comment about or an answer to that. I don't know if you're familiar with the way Google Photos works, but Google Photos just kind of all of your photos are in a big box, and the labels are what allow you to pinpoint the photos you want to see. It's the same with Google. If you look at all mail in Google, that's all of your mail. It's what in one big mailbox. And it is the labels that pinpoint what you need to look at and how you organize it the way Judy's talking about. I think of both folders on my Microsoft Windows computer and labels kind of in the same way, even though they don't work the same way. But that's the my understanding of how that works.
And there is a place where you can select all mail. I wouldn't be caught dead doing that. I only am interested in what's in my inbox right now. Everything else has gone where it needs to go. And with my APCUG stuff, John says we have workspace, and he says, you've got to make your inbox smaller. So I went way down to the end 1,000 years ago and I deleted some emails. Wouldn't you know, somebody asked a question, and guess what? It had been down at the end years ago where we had come up with an answer. So I've said, sorry, John, I have to keep everything because I don't know when somebody is going to ask me something. But yeah, Bob G, you're on.
You're muted, Bob.
Windows won't use the same terminology as Google, and Google, be darned, won't use the same terminology. To me, it's a folder, no matter what the hell you call it. Plain and simple.
But it's hard to when you're starting out, and it drives you crazy. Okay, Mr. King.
Hello, everybody. Judy mentioned, I think at the very beginning, that she likes to use Grammarly to check her grammar. For those of you who like open source tools, or for those of you who use Thunderbird for your email, there is an open source alternative to Grammarly called Language Tool. Language Tool, also like Grammarly, comes in a free version and a paid version. The paid version is less than half of what Grammarly charges for their premium version. So if you're interested in something like that, you might want to compare Language Tool to Grammarly before you choose one or the other. If you happen to be a Thunderbird user, like I said, there's an extension for Language Tool that integrates it right into the app. So you might want to consider that. Also, if you're a Gmail user, you may have noticed that sending attachments can sometimes be a pain in the tuchus, because Google doesn't like you to send attachments with certain kinds of files in them, for example. Or you may need to send somebody an attachment that has something sensitive that you don't want the whole world reading. There is a cloud provider called Mega that has a free file transfer service companion that they offer. It's called Transfer It, and it's just HTTPS transfer.it. You don't need to sign up for an account. They have no file size limits, and you can optionally add a password if you want. So if you want to send somebody a note that's 1 megabyte, or even just send them a secret passcode, you can go to Transfer It and send a free file attachment. That way, if you're sending, that's another thing about etiquette. If you're going to send out, like my niece's husband is doing T-ball, and they send out a spreadsheet of all of the games. If everybody receives a 5 megabyte or 6 megabyte email attachment in their inbox, that goes against the storage space you have on Gmail. I always encourage people, if you're going to send out large amounts of attachments to a large group of people, do it through the Transfer It program and send a hyperlink rather than sending the actual 5 megabyte file. Another thing you can do to control spam when doing email, there's a company associated with, or actually owned and created by Proton, called Simple Login. And it's just, that's exactly the name of the website, Simple Login. They're in Switzerland, just where Proton is. And they allow you for free to create I think 10 free email aliases that you can use in place of your own in order to not, if you're going to sign up for newsletters, mailing lists, a lot of the AI sites require you to give them a new email address. You can give them an email address that's not necessarily your own. And then if you get spam, you can simply disable that email alias. If you are have a lot of different email accounts, it might make sense to use a program like Thunderbird or Betterbird. I've heard a lot of people complain about the new free version of Microsoft Outlook not being very good. If you prefer to use an email program, I would recommend either Thunderbird or Betterbird, and you can combine either one of them with Language Tool, the free version if you wish. It does a great job of adding commas and taking away some simple grammar errors. And that's about it.
Thank you so much. Price of admission for me. Yeah, I did forget to say, you need to have an email address that's a throwaway for subscribing to magazines and stuff like that, that not your family, not your business people, not anything like that. But you definitely need one of those. And Mr. King, is the back of your neck extremely clean?
That's why my hand is up. That's what I was going to ask. Thank you, Judy.
It's my little doggy.
Just saying, Huey, you're on.
All right. One of the things that gets me upset is when I get an email from somebody who has an address that doesn't have their name in it, and they just put their first name as the signature, or they don't put any signature name, and I have no idea who it came from. So make sure that you put your name in the email so somebody knows who's sending that request or for information or wants a response. And also, that carries over to texts because a lot of times when you get a text, it only has a phone number. And they ask for something, they want a response, and you don't know who it is. So by all means, put your name, make sure that it's clear who you are, especially if you expect an answer. But it really makes it easier for everybody.
Well, that's like the Wednesday workshops. We ask people to use their first and last name, and many of them don't. And I'll have up to 12 people at the top of my spreadsheet that aren't getting anything because I can't reconcile their name with registered. And we get 16,000 Johns. And John's, this person will be there and that person will be there. And then there'll be a couple of Johns who don't have a last name. Am I supposed to choose from 10 other Johns? And, and it's called being courteous, not being rude. And I say, preschoolers and kindergartners follow instructions much better than seniors do. I'll say this at the Wednesday workshop as all these people go, how
I'm
true
better.
that is. Brenda.
Judy, you're supposed to send out a Dear John letter.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. Well, and my high school AP history person, this is her last semester of teaching, she says that boys with the name of John are usually the most undisciplined ones in the classroom. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. So Brenda, you're on.
Yeah, Drew. You said that open source is called trans what?
Oh,
Transfer it.
There's a website called transfer.it.
Okay, but before that, you were saying something open source that
There's an open source grammar checker.
Yeah, okay.
It's called Language Tool.
Language
And
tool. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
I have that down here.
Langagetool.org.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Can I use language tool in Gmail on Gmail?
You can if you use Thunderbird, but not directly on the.
Oh.
Well, actually, what they do is they have a browser extension
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would do is I would check out their browser extension because that might help check grammar in Gmail while you're using their program.
Okay.
Brenda, use the one that comes with Gmail. It's one of the check boxes.
Oh, it is? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, great. Thanks.
Just Google it or DuckDuckGo it, and now I have to say or Brave it.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
I don't know
Judy,
how to raise my hand, but what is IMAP?
What is IMAP?
Yeah,
Huey, Drew, Bob.
Internet messaging, something
Something or
protocol.
other protocol.
yeah.
is it something I need to know about? Or?
No,
Basically, IMAP is the protocol that your mail server uses to talk to other mail providers and your client. So if you install Microsoft Outlook or Mozilla Thunderbird or any other email client and you're going to link up to your mail server, that mail server is typically storing the mail on the server in a format called IMAP.
So if I just use Gmail, it doesn't matter? I
no.
don't care.
You do
No,
not need to know about this.
if
Okay.
you're
Shouldn't
logging
clutter
into
up your brain.
Gmail through a web browser, don't worry about it.
Oh, thank you.
Is
I
IMAP
need
or
that
is
extra
top
brain
three?
space.
It's just a way of communicating.
Yeah, I used it for the conference because I didn't want to have to go to another email account. So I had the conference email come into my Gmail account and I programmed it to go out as the other,
Yeah,
conference email. So you
SMT,
don't need to know about stuff like
Oh,
that. So
good.
right?
Okay,
please
I
don't
won't.
clutter up your
I will
brain.
wipe it out of my brain.
You got it.
Yeah,
All right, Judy, thank you.
almost all mail out there is IMAP.
Judy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was a lot of interesting and some new and some old stuff that we need reminders from.
Trip down
Uh,
memory lane.
Yep. Is there, thank you, Judy, for doing that. Are there any final questions? There were a few people that had their hands up at the beginning that they wanted to ask or say something, and we couldn't do it at that point.